Welcome back, everyone. We are joined by the former world champion, Antoaneta Stefanova. Congratulations for your win.
Thank you.
And finishing the tournament on a good note. How do you feel about handling the last game like this?
Well, it's always good to finish with a win, but it was a disaster tournament for me. So, I mean, unfortunately, this game doesn't change much. But still, it's always nice to win.
Yeah, and may I ask about the situation with the clock, especially in this game? How did this affect your decision making? Was it making you a little bit tense, or are you used to it by now and just try to find the best move?
Well, by situation with the clock, I guess you mean that I was always short of time in this tournament.
Oh, in this tournament, I hope.
Well, it's not only in this tournament, but yeah, normally when I'm in bad shape, then I tend to go into time trouble. And today it was not so severe, so I had time to calculate few moves. Because I lost so many winning positions in this tournament, in time pressure, just blundering everything. So again, I started a bit slow in the opening, but then I remembered that I should try to play a bit faster. So at the end, it was not such a big problem with the clock. No, not today.
And before we move to the game, I heard one funny suggestion by someone from the staff where maybe we could try to arrange a Blitz tournament before the actual event starts to allow the amateurs to play against the champions, and then also prepare the players to the pace of playing more quickly in the games, as time pressure was very evident in many games, not only in yours.
Well, I doubt that it will help because first of all, okay, when you play Blitz is completely different story, but going into Blitz mode before a serious tournament is not always a good thing, because then you don't think deeply but just make moves. So I don't know if it's a good idea. I mean, me personally, I prefer to enjoy Blitz tournaments after the serious event.
Yeah, so if there was a Blitz tournament, let's say, on the next day, or let's say during the free day, was it a good addition for the players? Or?
Maybe on the next day. On the free day, normally I wouldn't participate because it's such a hard event, and we used to have this Grand Prix with 2 free days, and now it's only 1, so it's even harder now. So I don't think I would like to have an additional chess activity on the free day.
Yeah, so probably it's a good idea to consider the option of arranging a Blitz tournament with the amateurs, like a day after an event, to give them a chance to maybe play against world champions and future world champions.
Sure, no, okay, because here from what I see there is a Blitz tournament going on, just that we cannot participate because it's...
and us as well, we are also very hungry for chess.
But in my opinion, it's much better to make this Grand Prix like the guys, the same format, to be a knockout, because... Well, I mean, it's much more dynamic, and I think it's more interesting also for spectators and also for us, the players. I mean, because let's say when you play badly, okay, even if you don't play so bad like I did in this tournament, at some point you just lose interest, and it's so long, and okay, everybody have to see our unhappy faces for a long time. Whereas if it's a knockout, then okay, if you lose and you're in bad shape, you go home. And if you continue, it means that you're playing well. And
so we only see happy faces in the knockout system. That's a nice, very nice interpretation of the knockout system. I haven't heard this one before. So without further ado, let's have a look at the game and try to see some critical moments. So we should see the chessboard at some point.
Okay.
We need the analysis board from... the viewers can't see it for the moment, so yeah, we need to look at the game.
No reaction.
Yeah, I need to maybe say it in Russian. Можно шахмати, пожалуйста.
Nobody hears you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we can continue talking about what happened in the tournament because actually this is a very interesting topic with time pressure and so on, because there are many players who reach time pressure, the most famous case being Alexander Grishuk.
Sure.
And have some good results with it. And Mikhail Tal is famous for being caught in time pressure and then outplaying his opponents. And then there are those who are playing too quickly because they're afraid of time pressure. So where is the balance?
Well, I think the balance is, not to go into severe time troubles, but also not to panic if you get one. Because, with 30 seconds per move, I mean, it's not so bad like when we used to play without an increment, and then people could have like 20 moves for 1 or 2 minutes and still make it. So with 30 seconds, of course, if you keep calm, it's quite enough. But of course, what happens to many of us is that, we get our heart rate
an hour our heart rate
higher than yours.
Yeah.
And once you panic and you lose control, of course, it's very, very easy to just blunder everything. But of course, I wouldn't recommend to especially young players to go into time trouble because there is no need for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the other players said, but for me, for example, it was a huge problem, the light in the playing hall, because I'm very sensitive to light, and when it's only this artificial light and it's not the same light on the board and in the playing hall, for me, I get very tired, and like at some point I just don't see anything on the board. So, of course, any chess player who had a bad tournament will try to make excuses, but it's just like a recommendation for the organizers to measure the light, because there are some measurements that you can measure and have the right light, and then I think it will be better for everybody.
Yeah, well, the fact that you won today against a former world champion makes this sounds less like excuses and more like actual relevant points, and we'll try to take it into account in future events.
Sure.
And at some point we're going to have to look at some chess. I hope we'll have the chessboard for the analysis of the game, and we need to get there very soon. So
in the meantime, we cannot even see the other games, right? We just don't have any boards.
Maybe we can gossip about Katie as she's not here.
Well,
so no, just getting here. We can just continue to discuss this very relevant topic. I mentioned some system that I used since I was very young, and when we have 40 moves until the time control, then maybe to try to keep more than 45 minutes for the first 20 moves. And then, because the first 20 moves are faster than the next 20 moves.
Well, depends for whom.
Yeah.
If you know well your theory, of course, it's faster. But,
and of course, pick the openings accordingly, because time pressure can be a very, very difficult subject for some of us to deal with. So if we just study the openings and keep playing the same lines and study them very well, just try to blitz out the first 10-15 moves and get to move 20 with more than 45 minutes, ideally at least an hour.
Yes,
and then start
that would be great. No, but I don't know. For me, it's very strange because let's say this year I've been playing mainly in China. And there we play 1 hour 30 minutes for the whole game plus 30 seconds. We don't get this 30 minutes on the 40th move. And there I'm never in time trouble. It's much faster, but I just look at it like, I have to keep more time than my opponent, and I don't get into time pressure. And here, just the idea that, after 40th move we get more time, it just makes me feel in the beginning like, I have so much time, so let's think a bit more about some interesting possibilities. Even sometimes, which is very stupid, of course, sometimes in positions that I know what is the theory, I'm still thinking because I see some move, I think, but why not this and why not that? But of course, during the game, it's not the time for such thoughts. It's better to check after at home and just be more practical and play a bit faster. But I'm very curious about what happened in the opening, but in order to ask proper questions, we need to have the analysis board and actually talk about the game. So
It doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon. And yeah, that's the right time to say it.
Okay,
And
good. So we got the board.
let's have a look at the beginning. So let's jump straight to move number
Okay, where do you want to jump?
8, 9. Yeah, something around this position. This position was played many times before, and it's considered a little bit unusual to place the bishop on b7. In many games they play d6, a3, and then something like bishop g4 or knight d4, and this kind of forcing lines that exchange more pieces. And first question is like this system with bishop b7. Were you prepared for it in this game? Do you like it?
Well, I think it's a possible move to play, and especially if you don't want to go to forced lines and try to make a draw.
Yeah.
And okay.
That's the spirit.
I like to play, so I don't like so much these forced lines. And since I don't think it's losing on the spot, so I think it's quite playable.
Yeah. A3, d6.
At least I thought so during the game.
Yeah. Well, you proved the point in the game as well. Bishop a2. Was it a little bit of a surprise move, preventing knight a5?
No, not really. I think it's quite a normal move, bishop a2. Also, after what I did with h6, I think white had some maybe interesting options with knight h4. Yeah. And of course, this bishop on a2 is better than on b3. So I think it's a useful prophylactic move, bishop a2.
And then after a few more moves, we reached this critical position. After bishop b2, we didn't have much time, unfortunately, to analyze the position very deeply. But we talked, I mentioned very quickly that when both players want to play these kind of moves, usually the first one to jump with the knight is the one trying to take over the initiative. And my question is, okay, we didn't have time to calculate it, as I mentioned, but what have you looked after knight d4? We really have no idea what's going on.
Well, I was not sure that I'm ready for knight d4, and also I didn't see a useful move for white after bishop f8. That's why because actually I liked my position after knight d5. I don't know, maybe I was wrong, but I thought that I quite like it after white plays knight d5, so I didn't see a reason to be in a hurry to play knight d4 myself. But after knight d4 here,
bishop b2, knight d4.
I don't know, maybe white can just take and maybe even play something like knight d2 and c3, and I don't know, maybe knight g3 first, knight f5. I was not sure if I'm on time, because on d5 she can play e5, and I was not sure that this is such a great position for me.
Yeah, it's really hard to evaluate, but it is definitely critical. I just mentioned very quickly that when I grew up and had a coach, when not playing such forcing lines, I had to provide the right justification for it. You know, at first going up to him, and then when becoming more independent later, just to myself to find the right variation, even write it down, and then check it versus the computer and so on. We don't know really what's going on there, but we're just curious. So bishop f8, of course, makes sense. Knight d5, especially if you don't think white is better here. Rook a b8, c4.
No, I think, it looks that white is slightly better, but as you saw also in the game, it's kind of position where white can get into trouble pretty easily. Because, white has a little bit more space, but black is very solid and has some plans. So, what we played, I think here is quite forced, maybe.
And I think that, our assumption was that d4, when Alexandra played d4, she missed this c5 idea, perhaps.
Yes, probably.
And in that case, it looks like black is taking over the initiative. So maybe just a waiting move like rook c1 or something was slightly more challenging for black, and then planning to play d4 later.
Correct. I think so also, that d4 was a mistake, but I don't believe that black is in serious trouble here. I can even play knight g6 and try to be active with some knight f4 at some point, and I don't know,
But the pawns here are a little bit more advanced for white. It's not big,
correct.
but it's...
No, also the bishop on b2 looks better than the one on f8, but I don't know how much of this is optical illusion and how much is it really matters, because, okay, I mean, even if I just take on c4 and d4, I mean...
Here there's so first ed4 probably,
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, let's say knight takes, for example.
And just take on c4, and I don't know if... I mean, I have to calculate if I can push d5 or not because of some moves like knight f5.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, maybe white is slightly better, but I don't really think that it's something big.
Yeah.
Maybe I can play knight e5 and d5.
Yeah.
I have also some ideas with a5 instead of d5. I mean, it's... I think it's double-edged.
Okay, very interesting evaluation. And, well, one thing that is well known, at least in the chess scene, like in the professional chess scene, that confidence or believing in one's position is sometimes more important than actually knowing the evaluation, because everyone makes mistakes here and there about the right moves or the right evaluations, but not fearing the opponent's play and thinking that you have counterplay may actually help in the process of finding this counterplay. So here, a5, d5, and even if white is slightly better, as you mentioned, you have some game going on and it's fun. So very nice approach, very optimistic, and and I think that it's like generally working for most players. And e takes d4, queen takes d4. Now very nice c5 move.
No, after this, I thought that I'm getting better position.
Yes.
I don't know.
Queen c3.
Because suddenly I have much better pawn structure, and it's very easy for black to start pushing on the queen side. And okay, this bishop on f8 is protecting my king, so white needs quite a long time to create some real threats. And in the meantime, I'll get very active on the queen side.
Yes. And rook a d1, queen c7, cb, ab, and now it already feels much better for black.
I don't know if cb5 is the right move here, to be honest. But let's say if white plays something like rook d5, then I was thinking to play just queen a5, trying to exchange queens. And yeah, it's not so easy for white, actually. I believe this
c4
position.
is weak.
c4 is weak, yes, and... yes, suddenly white got into trouble, so I guess this is what Alexandra didn't like, and she played cb5. But of course, after cb, I was not sure if I should take with rook and have my activity on the b line, but somehow my pawn structure, I just couldn't help myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's too good to give up on. And of course, here, white has to find the way, and here black is the one who has to play actively and find the right way to attack. So it's much easier, just I have a better pawn structure and let the opponent find what to do.
Okay, but sometimes dynamics are more important than pawn structure. So I mean, during the game, you just have to try to make the best decision, and normally... Okay, sometimes you use general terms like structure or things like this, but sometimes you just have to calculate and try to be precise.
C4 and this B4 idea was very nice. And
okay, I don't have much choice here actually, because white is threatening knight f5 already, so I have to do something. So B4 was... like, okay, this queen c1 is a big mistake, of course.
What would you recommend? AB?
Well, AB was the line I was calculating. And
or queen c4?
Queen c4, not so much. No, because, okay, after ba3, okay. I remember I saw something, but I don't remember what is it now.
Yeah. Probably rook b4.
Rook b4, yeah. And I'm also threatening a4, and okay, my pawn on a3 is quite strong.
Yeah.
But I was more worried about this line a takes b4, knight takes, rook d4, and knight d3, rook takes c4. And now I think queen d... Okay, queen d8 is enough for a draw, of course, but I think I found some during the game something better, because queen d8, rook d4, for example, queen takes h4, and rook takes d3, and rook takes e4 should be equal.
Yeah, but bishop
but
b4.
I saw something better.
Oh no, there's checkmate.
No,
Yeah.
but I saw something better. But what was it now? I don't
Let's
remember.
try to find it. So here,
Maybe it was after knight d4, was it? It's incredible. Sometimes you find some very nice variations during the game, and then game is finished, and like in 15 minutes I don't even remember what I thought about.
yeah, it happens to all of us. Probably some funny tactic in this position should do the work. Maybe just take.
Take and take on e1,
This
but
could-
I'm not sure, because knight f5 again,
Yeah,
and
threatening knight h6.
I'm not very well coordinated, I thought. So
So what could it be? Queen h4, d3.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's not easy, but there
No, but even
must
here,
be something forcing.
even here maybe I can. No,
Queen-
knight a2 was here. The move. Knight
queen
a2,
c2?
of course, c3 now.
And c3.
Yes, and after bishop a1, now knight b4, and after taking everything on c3, knight c2, and I take the exchange.
Yeah.
This was the line.
All right.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was my fault. I played knight d3 too quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
You confuse me, but
Yeah.
it's okay. I forgive you.
Queen c1 was played, c3, bishop
No,
a1.
I think here is just lost for a while.
Yeah. And actually there was a funny line that we looked at starting with rook a7 with the same idea, but here rook takes e4 was an interesting option.
Okay.
This is one.
I don't know. I thought that what I played
Yeah, it looked perfect.
Quite logical. I mean, it's
Yeah.
more natural
Yeah,
to
the
play
rook
the
here
other
is...
rook. So.
And also here there was a funny line. Okay, here knight c2. If you take on e1
Yeah.
and then go c2.
No, it's also winning. I mean, if
Yeah.
rook c1, I can have minimum queen f4, but
Yeah.
probably I...
Even this, actually we were making a joke, like whether if you get this position, do you promote to a queen or a rook? And Katie mentioned that she would always promote to a queen. And then I asked, if the rook is right next to you and the queen is on the other side of the hole, is it disrespectful to promote to a rook in some tournaments? Who knows?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so probably it's better to just stop the clock and get the queen.
There is no point of making such things.
Okay. Besides making ourselves laugh in the commentary.
Sure. Yeah.
So rook b2 was a very good move. Queen a8, knight takes e1, rook d8, and queen c5.
Yep.
And a very, very nice win despite the time situation.